Rafeef? Welcome. Yes. Morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you very much. My name is Asad Rehman. I'm the Executive Director of War on Want. And no, if you're looking in your programme, no, I haven't morphed into Roger McKenzie, the Chair of War on Want. Unfortunately, Roger is unwell, and whilst he was planning to drag himself from the sick bed to be here, we have convinced him that he should focus on rest and recovery. The struggle is long, as we know, and we can only walk that path if we do so with kindness, with care, with reciprocity, and looking after each other. So I'm going to formally welcome you all here, sisters, brothers, new friends, and old friends. As I said, I have the honour of being the Director of War on Want, and I want to just start by saying, in my many years of being involved in struggles, in helping build movements, working across many various organisations, it is an absolute honour to work at War on Want and to be able to work alongside my colleagues who every day show what a passionate, dedicated and committed set of people they are. And whilst I get to be up here formally opening this And Still We Arise Festival, it's their work that you see all around you. And whilst I'm not going to name them all, I just want to recognise that this has been truly a collective effort. And in the best traditions of War on Want, because we never like to do things easily, this hasn't been a standalone event, and we're deeply honoured and humbled to be able to welcome so many of our partners and allies from across the global south who have been here all week in a retreat, working together to try and weave together what a truly just and equitable transition looks like, one that guarantees everyone the right to be able to live with dignity and in harmony and in balance with the planet and all other living beings. Ideas and visions that are going to be shared with that throughout the day, debated and discussed throughout all of today's programmes. I can also see many of War on Want's members and trustees and supporters here. And as a membership organisation, I also want to just say a huge thank you to all of you, because it's your continued support that allows War on Want to be the organisation that it is, and you are the lifeblood of the organisation. And I would say, as you expect me to say, that if you're not a member of War on Want, you should be, and hopefully by the end of today, you will be. And of course, a huge thank you to Friends Meeting House and to the Quakers, who have so warmly not only welcomed us to this place, but have been committed to the vision of this festival. And so thank you, Rebecca, Sue, and all of the team. And of course, also to our friends at New Internationalists, who share the same vision as War on Want of a new internationalism. Today promises to be an amazing day. We have lots of different panels and workshops and exhibitions and games and so much, much more. But before we kick off, I want to just quickly run through some housekeeping stuff. So now the little bit boring bits, make sure I read. You'll probably see people walking around with red T-shirts with the word festival written on their back. They're really easily identifiable. And so if you need anything, they're here to help you, so please reach out to any of the festival stewards. If you're looking for a room, lost, or just want any information, they can point you in the right direction. Food, because food is always important. And lunchtime, the Seed Cafe is going to be open all day, so from till about 4 o'clock. However, hot food is only going to be served between 1 and 3. So that sort of means please don't all go to lunch at exactly the same time. Do try and stagger that. And hot food is also going to be available in the east and west corridors. And we have tried to make sure we're catering for all dietary requirements. So there is lots of food, and of course, if you can't find food here, there's plenty of other eateries around the area as well. There's lots of stalls. In addition to all of the panels and sessions, there's stalls and exhibitions and workshops in room 9 on the 2nd floor. And we all sometimes need a moment of quiet and calm. So there's also a quiet room, and that quiet room is located in the Elizabeth Fry Suite, which is also on the 2nd floor. You can find all of that information about floor plans and programs in the festival program. If you haven't got one, there's plenty on the stalls outside, so please get one from the registration desk. If in the unfortunate situation that you require first aid, that's being very kindly provided by St John's Ambulance volunteers who are going to be based in the medical room, which is next to the Elizabeth Fry Suite, also on the 2nd floor. But if you have any medical issues, please go to the medical room, or please contact one of the stewards, and if you're feeling unwell, and they'll be able to escort you to that room. So hopefully that won't be required. Security, well, they're very easily identifiable and available through the day. They've been provided by Friends of the House. So any concerns, please also reach out to them. They're all dressed in the nice black suits. I've just realised I'm also dressed in black as well, so you could also be one of the stewards today. So please, any issues at all, reach out to one of our stewards or the security. Bathrooms, because we all need to know where bathrooms are. There's plenty of bathrooms in this building. They're located on every floor, with all gender toilets on the 1st floor, and accessible toilets also available on every floor. And there are some stairs in this building. There's people who have been here before, but there are also lifts available, so please use them. Fire exits, we don't expect any test alarms today, so if the alarm bells ring, pretty first thing, don't go towards the fire, go towards the fire exits. Those are that way, and they're clearly marked, and please exit the building. There's also some folks from different press outlets around the festival today, and they're going to be doing some press interviews, and they're also clearly going to be identified. One of the things that Warren wants deeply committed to is also language justice, is recognising that our movement and our communities and our people should be able to speak in the language that expresses their realities most easily. So we have interpretation, and it's going to be real-time interpretation, but it's going to be via an app. And the sessions in the programme where there's going to be interpretation are all clearly identified. You have to download an app and it's called Interactio. You'll find all that information in the programme as well. And you need smartphone and headphones, and you download the app, and then and it's available for both on Google Play Store and whatever the Apple one is. And if you don't have headphones, we have a limited number, so you can in those session rooms, so that they are available. But check the programme to see which of those sessions are required. And I also, at this point, also want to thank Clara and all of the invisible interpreters, because you actually won't see them here, but they are all there doing incredible labour to allow us to be able to connect and communicate and be able to speak together, because that, of course, is one of the bases of our movement, being able to connect together. Now, we all know that the horrors of COVID, according to the government, have passed, and all the restrictions have been lifted, but do please keep in mind that some of our attendees are vulnerable and may be vulnerable and may not necessarily be as comfortable in such crowded environments. So please respect each other's and individuals' wishes on social distancing, on mask wearing, We have on-site hand sanitizer, and we have a limited number of face masks. If you require them, hopefully you have them in yourself, but if you do need them and you want to use them, they are also available. And now back to and still we arise. And before I invite our opening guests, I just want to maybe say a few words also about War on Want for those of you who may not know us as well. Just over 70 years ago, War on Want was founded by the labour movement amidst the horrors of war, with a call that the only war worth fighting was the war against want, and that's how our name came about. And its slogan then, as now, was that poverty is political and what the world needs is justice, not charity. And War on Want's never been afraid to speak truth to power, of recognising that the struggle for justice is the beating heart of this organisation. And throughout 70 years, we've stood with those on the front lines of injustice. We stood with our movements in the anti-colonial struggle, in the anti-imperialist struggles. We had exposed corporate scandals such as Nestle's baby milk, tax dodging by corporate giants. We've stood with workers in struggle, whether it's in Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, garment workers, but it's also historically Gunwick strikers here in the UK to Amazon workers. We've helped lead the anti-globalisation movement, and we're able to, one of the first to name neoliberalism when others were scared of. We worked on the root causes of the rigged global economy and our economic system, tax, debt and trade injustice, that not only have looted the global south to enrich the elites and corporate giants, but those policies of forced privatisation, of attacking workers' rights, destroying public services, that have left half the world struggling to survive, but also 17 million people in one of the richest countries in the world struggling to make ends meet. Of the politics of the sacrifice zone that have been poisoning the lands, air and water and of the global south, the looting and extraction of resources, led by our own City of London and many of the mining and corporate giants that are based here, of the fight for food sovereignty and the right to food. And I have to say, incredibly proud that we were one of the first to answer the call of the South African people in their fight against apartheid and lifted up their call for boycott, divestment and sanctions. Just as today, we stand also with other peoples fighting against injustice, including the Palestinian people. And we were one of the first organisations, I think the first UK organisation, to call out not only a century of ethnic cleansing and settler colonialism, but the system of apartheid and the complicity of the UK, whether it's through its arms sales or its ongoing complicity with genocidal acts. And we're unique in that we are a membership organisation, because we've always believed that change is only possible through the collective organising of people, bound together through the bonds of solidarity, sharing a common vision, understanding that this fight is a collective fight, and that if we don't fight, we inevitably lose. And so, in this moment of incredible doom, when we see so much around us unravelling, and the scale of multiple crises, not just of the climate crisis, which we already know is devastating the lives and livelihoods of millions of people and destroying our planet, of collapsing ecosystems, of global inequality widening and deepening, of the elites getting richer and richer, of our systems of injustice, of past and present being reproduced in narratives of the just transition, of visions of the just transition. And of course, of the bombs that are falling on the people of Gaza, and the rise of right-wing populism and far-right forces who seek to divide people with their politics of walls and fences. In this moment, sometimes, quite rightly, we look at those horrors and we can be filled with a little bit of doom. But this today isn't about doom or despair. It's about celebrating our resistance, our collective fights, that actually together we are charting different pathways, of alternatives, of that people are struggling, are creating, and that is something that we have to hold on to and remember and build on, because it's only those visions of change. We're remembering that all the transformation that has ever happened in this world has come because of people like us, people who came together, who sat together, whether it's the fight for trade union rights, the fight for women's rights, the right to protest. These were never given to us. No rights were ever given to us. They were fought for by ordinary people, and we claimed them. And that is the tradition, not just looking of the past, but to the future that we need to look on. And so, as we stand at this crossroads of humanity, when we say that never have we seen so many of our systems that we all rely on unravelling, when we've come out of a COVID pandemic, which exposed for many the realities that even in the midst of a global pandemic, something that affected all citizens around the world, our government and the governments of the global north prioritised the interests of big pharmaceutical companies to rack up millions, denying people of the global south much needed vaccines. That 5.5 million unnecessary deaths took place because the profit came before people. We know that the same reality is now at play in the climate crisis. And while people talk about climate change, we know our governments continue to hand out billions in handouts to the very fossil fuel giants that are pouring oil on a burning planet. We see the inaction. We see the reality of these crises, no longer envisaged by climate scientists in the future, but in our daily lives. We see the realities of what it means, and I'm looking at Khalid there from Pakistan, of what one devastating flood can do. 33 million people affected, a third of the country impacted. We see it in the realities of what's happening to our peoples in the indigenous movement, and I want to welcome our comrades from the Mapuche Nation who are here in Argentina. But we also see that the rise at this moment of crisis, that it's the far right that are growing everywhere, not just in Europe, in India, in Argentina, in many, many different places. And that requires us to have a different story, to connect our visions to the realities of people's needs, but also realise that this struggle is not going to, this new future is not going to come about passively. It's only going to come about if we organise, not simply mobilise, but organise together. And that's what today's Arise Festival is all about, weaving our different stories together, our different realities together, of these different issues, deepening our understandings of what are the pathways, what are the crises, how do we go through them. And so we have brought together an incredible set of speakers, of panellists to share their wisdom, their experience, to be in conversation together, but also to be in conversation with yourselves. But our resistance has always been underpinned by cultures of resistance. So I really want to also recognise that this struggle also has to be full of joy as well. And so two of our guests who I'm going to introduce in a second will help formally open this event. But before I do, I also want to introduce one of our guests who's unable to join us but wanted to send us a message. That is Tatiana Roa. Tatiana is now Colombia's Vice Minister of Environmental Planning. She's a political ecologist and has been at the forefront of the struggle for environmental justice for over 30 years. She founded CENSA, which is Friends of the Earth Colombia, and has been a key figure in the eco-social and intercultural pact of the Global South. She's been an incredible and long-time friend of War on One, and has now transitioned from a role inside the movements to a role in the government, taking the struggle, people's struggles into the halls of power. So I think we have a video message from Tatiana.
Buenos días a todas y a todos. Un gusto estar aquí compartiendo con ustedes, así sea de manera virtual. En primer lugar, quisiera agradecer a War on One por esta invitación que me han hecho. Hubiera querido estar de manera presencial, fui invitada ya desde hace varios meses, pero digamos debido a las obligaciones en las que hoy estoy como viceministra de Ordenamiento Ambiental y del Territorio y a la urgencia de situaciones que estamos viviendo en el país en un momento en que arrecia el fenómeno del Niño, los incendios y el desabastecimiento de agua, me obligó a permanecer en Colombia. Se me ha pedido que converse con ustedes en torno a los desafíos que enfrenta un país como Colombia para garantizar la justicia social y ambiental. En particular, ¿qué significa para el primer gobierno progresista en 200 años de vida republicana? Y los desafíos que representa para una persona como yo, que estaba vinculada por más de 30 años a las luchas ambientales del país y del continente. En primer lugar, este gobierno enfrenta una encrucijada muy grande. Se propuso transformar la senda del desarrollo, que en las últimas 3 décadas ha estado enrutada, digamos, hacia un modelo de desarrollo extractivista, en particular a la extracción y exportación de fósiles, hidrocarburos y carbón, y además un país que tiene más de 6 décadas de conflicto armado y desarrollo de economías ilícitas como el narcotráfico. Algunos datos podrían ayudar a entender de lo que hablo. En los últimos años, los ingresos petroleros han representado entre el 10 y el 20% de los ingresos totales del gobierno nacional. Entre 2023 y 2022 y 2023, el recaudo de regalía fue de aproximadamente 20 billones de pesos, es decir, 5.000 millones de dólares. Además, ha sido la principal fuente de divisas de economía, aportando cerca del 40% de las exportaciones y el 20% de la inversión extranjera directa. Pero por otro lado, Colombia es el segundo país más biodiverso del mundo. Somos el país con la mayor cantidad de aves, mariposas y orquídeas, el segundo en plantas, anfibios y peces de agua dulce. Tenemos el privilegio de tener la mayor extensión de páramos, pero además es un país con una gran cantidad de áreas de reservas naturales, parques naturales, reservas de pueblos indígenas, reservas comunitarias de la sociedad civil. Con este contexto, el gobierno colombiano se propuso convertir a Colombia en una potencia de la vida, el país de la belleza, como dice nuestro presidente, para lo cual se propuso además una serie de reformas sociales, ordenar el territorio alrededor del agua y enfrentar la crisis climática con decisiones drásticas como frenar las nuevas exploraciones de hidrocarburos. Y aquí, en esta perspectiva, hemos apoyado el Tratado de No Proliferación de Combustibles Fósiles. En este sentido, nos enfrentamos a un reto muy grande, donde la riqueza natural de nuestro país choca con la dependencia de los combustibles fósiles. Es decir, nos pone a mirar cómo balanceamos esta situación de dependencia por una parte y de ir transformando nuestras economías hacia darle una prioridad a los temas de la biodiversidad, a las economías populares, a las economías para la vida. Entonces nos recuerda esa dualidad de Macondo, donde la belleza y la devastación coexisten en una danza perpetua. En este contexto, el presidente Petro y la vicepresidenta Francia Márquez han delineado una de las agendas ambientales más ambiciosas de un gobierno latinoamericano y yo diría incluso del mundo. Y esto en gran medida es de lo que más me motivó a ser parte de este gobierno en el Viceministerio de Ordenamiento Ambiental del Territorio, que hacen parte del Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible. Desde el gobierno estamos convencidos de que nuestra diversidad es el camino para enfrentar la policrisis que se expresa en la conjugación de múltiples crisis y en este sentido lo que estamos pensando es en cómo construir unas economías de la vida que provoquen transformaciones en los territorios para abandonar esas economías ilícitas. Se trata de pensar en economías que contribuyan a fortalecer las propuestas sociales y económicas de las comunidades, es decir, unas economías de la vida más justas social y ambientalmente. El reto es mucho mayor de cara, como ya dije, a la crisis climática. En el último mes hemos tenido alrededor de 57.000 familias afectadas por el fenómeno del Niño, 40.000 hectáreas del territorio han resultado afectadas por los incendios, tenemos cientos de municipios con desabastecimiento de agua y cada día son mayores los daños. Cada día, pero lo más paradójico es que también enfrentamos la crisis climática y tenemos que endeudarnos para superar esa crisis climática. Colombia tiene un nivel de endeudamiento bastante alto. Nos encontramos entonces ante la necesidad imperativa de reformar el sistema financiero internacional, incluso de enfrentar la arquitectura internacional en las negociaciones y de garantizar que realmente lleguen los beneficios a la gente, a las comunidades directas, y de construir estas economías de la vida que pongan en primer lugar el bienestar de nuestro territorio, de nuestras comunidades. Pero las barreras son grandes, o sea, tenemos también demandas internacionales por intereses mineros que amenazan, digamos, estos esfuerzos. Mientras también hay mercados verdes que favorecen más a los intermediarios en lugar de llegar directamente a las comunidades que cuidan nuestra biodiversidad y que incluso agudizan los conflictos socioambientales que tenemos. Entonces tenemos el reto también de conseguir la paz total en el territorio colombiano, enfrentar el 13% de esta deforestación está ligada directamente a economías ilícitas y por eso hemos concentrado nuestros esfuerzos en identificar estas geografías prioritarias donde se concentren los impactos más severos de la violencia, el deterioro ambiental y los riesgos climáticos. Hemos configurado los núcleos de desarrollo forestal y de la biodiversidad. Entonces, ¿cómo vamos a construir una Colombia potencia de la vida si continuamos en este camino de la autodestrucción? Este gobierno, como ya dije, se adhirió al Tratado de No Proliferación, siendo el primer país continental en hacerlo, y en 6 meses seremos los anfitriones de la COP16 de biodiversidad, donde buscamos hacer la paz con la naturaleza. Los invito entonces a que nos acompañen en este espacio, a que no dejemos que la enfermedad del insomnio, que había sido tan contagiosa en Macondo, invada nuestro país, nuestro mundo, nuestro continente, nuestro planeta, y no nos condenemos a 100 años de soledad, sino una segunda oportunidad sobre la tierra. Muchas gracias.
And now I want to introduce, in honour of the title of this festival, of Maya Angelou's great poem, one of our dear friends and comrades, Nnimmo Bassey, who is, I'm sure many of you know him, his long history of struggle, renowned environmental justice activist, winner of the Right Livelihood Award, the Alternative Nobel Prize, probably you don't know it, also a renowned architect, a poet, and a great comrade to so many of us. I hear all these people are so talented, I feel like I'm a one-trick pony. But Nnimmo Bassey is going to read one of his own poems, and then Maya Angelou's poem. Nnimmo.
I bring you peace, greetings of peace and solidarity, and plenty of gratitude to War on Want for bringing us together today. As Asad said, I'm reading first a poem from my new collection of poetry, and the title is I Come from the Future. Pardon me if I'm impatient with history. I come from the future. Rooted in this soil, I recall the toil and never recoil from the struggles to defend nature. Fixated on the innermost core that builds your past, that sincerely is what will last. Pardon me if I'm impatient with history. My talk is to awake memories tenderly built by generosity. I recall the utter perplexity of those who revel and enjoy building complexities. Building logs of life, sapping stories, woven by beings totally at variance with nature. But I come from the future, born by memories of love and fires, powered by a knowing that drives desires, strengthened by those unseen wires that codify and connect our culture, fixed on the sacred seed to build the dream future we need. Pardon me if I'm impatient with history. I come from the future. Thank you. Now, reading a poem by Maya Angelou is extremely difficult because she was so beautiful. She wrote so beautifully, and she had a powerful delivery, but I come from the future, so you pardon me. Still, I rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trot me in the very depths, but still, like dust, I will rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like the moons and like suns with certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I will rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh, ha 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 ha, like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your haughtiness, but still like air, I will rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my ties? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gift that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise. I rise. I rise. Thank you.
Thank you, Nnimmo. Always bring the power of words, of our hearts and our struggle wherever you go. And so does our next comrade, Rafeef Ziadah, who's academic, activist, and I also want to say a former colleague at War on Want, who's, amongst all of those other things, also a renowned spoken word artist. Rafeef.
Thank you, Asad, for the very kind introduction, and thank you to War on Want for bringing us all together. As a Palestinian, I must say the past 4 months have been horrific, and the only way we have survived is through being in spaces like this with comrades So thank you all so much for being here. I was telling Asad earlier, I haven't performed for 4 months. I haven't read a single poem because it's been very, very difficult to try and keep it together in public. But War on Want was my first home when I arrived in this country. It was one of the only organizations that was doing boycott, divestments, and sanctions work publicly. So I cannot refuse it when Asad asks me to perform a poem. I just hope I'm able to hold it. But if I don't hold it together, I know we're in England and crying is not allowed. But, you know, try, give the person next to you a hug. It's okay to have feelings. We're allowed to. And I'll start with a poem by Rifat al-Arir, who was assassinated by Israel in the latest acts of genocide. If I must die, you must live. If I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings. If I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings, make it white with a long tail. So a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze, and bid no farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite, that you made flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope. If I must die, let it be a tale. Thank you. And I think it's only appropriate to do my own poem, We Teach Life. So here we go. Today my body was a TV'd massacre. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre that had to fit into sound bites and word limits. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre that had to fit into sound bites and word limits, filled enough with statistics to counter measured response. So I perfected my English. I learned all my UN resolutions, but still he looked me straight in the eyes and asked me, Ms. Ziadah, wouldn't it all be fine if you Palestinians would just stop teaching so much hatred to your children? Pause. I look inside of me for strength to be patient. I look inside of me for strength to be patient, but patience is not at the tip of my tongue as the bombs drop over Gaza. Patience has just escaped me. Pause. Remember to smile. Rafeef, remember to smile. You're on camera. Remember to smile. Pause. We teach life, sir. We teach life, sir, after they have occupied the last sky. We teach life, sir, after they have built their settlements and their apartheid walls. After the last skies, we teach life, sir. But today my body was a TV'd massacre made to fit into sound bites and word limits, and they just want a story, a human story, you see. Every journalist tells me they need a human story. They need a hook. Maybe I can find them a woman who speaks English. Maybe she can be pretty. Maybe she needs medication. Just human stories, just human stories, just human stories. And will you condemn? Will you condemn? Will you condemn? How about you? How about you? Do you have enough bone, broken limbs to cover the sun? Hand me over your dead. Hand me over your dead and give me a list of their names, but make sure that it's in 1,200 word limits. And shh, don't mention that word apartheid. Shh, don't talk about that word occupation. We just want human stories, you see. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre made to fit into sound bites and word limits and hook those that are desensitized to terrorist blood. But they felt sorry for the cattle over Gaza, so I give them statistics and UN resolutions, and I speak their language. We condemn, we deplore, we very, very much reject, and we very, very much deplore. for, and we very, very much condemn, and these are not two equal sides, occupier and occupied, and these are not two equal sides, colonizer and colonized, and I recount 100 dead, 200 dead, 3,000 dead, 100,000 dead, and I recount and I tell our stories and I learn their UN resolutions, but today, my body was a TV'd massacre to fit into sound bites and word limits, and I wish I could just wail over their bodies. I wish I could just run barefoot in every refugee camp, hold every child, cover their ears, so they wouldn't have to hear the sound of bombing for the rest of their life the way that I do. I wish I could run barefoot in every refugee camp and hold every child, cover their ears, so they wouldn't have to hear the sound of bombing for the rest of their life the way that I do, because let me just tell you, there's no soundbite. No matter how good my English gets, there's no soundbite, no matter how good my English gets, no soundbite, no soundbite, no soundbite, no soundbite will bring them back to life. And no soundbite will fix this. There's no soundbite that will fix this. We teach life, sir. We teach life, sir. We Palestinians wake up every morning to teach the rest of the world life, sir.
Thank you, Rafeef, and thank you to the Palestinian people as well, because they are teaching us what life is, and they are teaching us in this darkest moment what humanity looks like. They teach us every single day. The doctors who refuse to leave their patients, operating without anaesthetic by torchlight, the paramedics who rush towards the sound of bombs, knowing that they themselves are also targets, the first responders who dig with their bare hands through rubble, trying to find that echo of life, wanted to save even one life, knowing that saving one life is like saving all of humanity. To the journalists who document those war crimes, knowing that they're being deliberately targeted and killed. The Palestinian people, like all people in struggle, teach us what life is. And it's an honour, and I want to thank you so much, Rafeef. Every time I hear that, and the fact that it's been so many years that we hear this poem again and again, is one of the greatest injustices and our responsibility, particularly in a country like the UK, which continues to arm Israel, even as it commits acts of genocide, which continues to give diplomatic cover to Israel, even as it breaches every single international law, humanitarian law. The President Petro of Colombia said at the COP28, in Palestine, the people of the global south see their past, their present, and their future. And it is up to us to make sure that that is not the future. And it's only by collectively working together and organising that we can end our complicity and continue to stand in solidarity and say, yes, one day, like the South African people, Palestine will also be free. So I want to close this opening ceremony by inviting now our friends from the Bullerengue Circle, which is a London-based collective, is fostering the Afro-Colombian tradition as a conscious artistic practice and way of life. Through drums, chants and dance, their rituals bring the community together in that past, in the present, to recreate creative power, self-expression and joy. And it's traditionally practiced by communities that have experienced slavery and violence, and has become a symbol of resistance and resilience, the very sentiment and anchor of today's festival. So we're really grateful and honoured to have Esteban and Valeria today here, who will offer us an activation to bring us into this space. Over to you, comrades.
I invite you all to close your eyes. As we get together and set the intention of love, of compassion, an intention for clarity, an intention for change. Send our love through our voices, our drums, to all our sisters and brothers that are under oppression, that are suffering. In this moment, we unite for a brighter future. And our new steps get filled with love. Let's breathe together. Let's breathe together. Let's breathe together.
Whenever you're ready, open your eyes. We're here today to offer Bullerengue, and as our comrade was saying, this is an Afro-Colombian tradition. It comes from our African ancestors who were kidnapped and brought into our territory. But they brought with us the incredible gift of music and the able of transform emotions and feelings into sound and vibration. So we're going to be singing together. Bullerengue is a community practice, and it is practiced by all of us together. So we invite you to join in with your claps and with your voices. We're going to be singing in Spanish, but no worries if you don't understand what we're saying. It's not about the words. It's about all of us coming together in a collective chant. It's about the vibration. It's about the repetition. So please join us, and if at any point you feel it, feel free to stand up and move your body to the beat of the drums.
Las olas de la mar son las olas, son las olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Oye, dale, que son las olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Oye, dale, que son las olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Este lindo huye.
Las olas de la mar.
Este lindo huye.
Las olas de la mar.
Vamos cantando a los ancestros.
Las olas de la mar.
Vamos cantando a los ancestros.
Las olas de la mar.
Ay, quiero ver tu fortaleza.
Las olas de la mar.
Ay, quiero ver tu fortaleza.
Las olas de la mar.
Para poder ir resistiendo.
Las olas de la mar.
Para poder ir resistiendo.
Las olas de la mar.
El dolor de los corazones.
Las olas de la mar.
El dolor de los corazones.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas, olas, olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas, olas, olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Oye, dale, que son las olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Oye, dale, que son las olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Las que me van ahí arrullando.
Las olas de la mar.
Ay, las que me van limpiando.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas, olas, olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas, olas, olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Póngete lindo bullerengue.
Las olas de la mar.
Póngete lindo bullerengue.
Las olas de la mar.
Yo le canto a Palestina.
Las olas de la mar.
Ay, yo le canto a Congo.
Las olas de la
A
mar.
Uranía, a la Colombia.
Las olas de la mar.
Ay, pa' mi hermano de Venezuela.
Las olas de la mar.
Ay, ayú, que está cantando.
Las olas de la mar.
Ay, ayú, que está cantando.
Las olas de la mar.
Ay, dame tu fortaleza.
Las olas de la mar.
Ay, dame toda fortaleza.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas, olas, olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas, olas, olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas de la madre.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas de la madre.
Las olas de la mar.
Las que me van a sanar.
Las olas de la mar.
Las que me van a sanar.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas, olas, olas.
Olas de la mar.
Las olas, olas, olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Oye, dale, que son las olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Oye, dale, que son las olas.
Las olas de la mar.
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 Oye, dale, que son las olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Oye, dale, que son las olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Mamá, si te canto.
Las olas de la mar.
Mamá, si te canto.
Las olas de la mar.
Yo te pido mi perdón.
Las olas de la mar.
Te pido mi perdón.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas, olas, olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas, olas, olas.
Las olas de la mar.
Las olas, olas, olas.
Las olas de la mar. las olas de la mar,
bailan que me van arrullando,
las olas de la mar,
bailan que me van arrullando,
las olas de la mar,
las olas, olas, olas,
las olas de la mar,
las olas, olas, olas,
las olas de la mar,
con las olas de la mar. Las olas de la mar. Madre poderosa, ¿quién me lo dijere? Madre poderosa, ¿quién me lo dijere? Ay, que tengo el cabello duro,
sacatriz, sacatrán,
Petrona,
sacatriz, sacatrán,
Juana Petrona,
sacatriz, sacatrán,
se rompió,
sacatriz, sacatrán,
se rompió,
sacatriz, sacatrán,
la tinadera,
sacatriz, sacatrán,
la tinadera,
sacatriz, sacatrán, 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 sacatriz,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just before, I thank you for the love, the energy. That's what we need to carry through for the rest of the day. We're running a little bit over, and there's lots of people already in the room, so if you're a speaker in the next session, can you please get to your room? For those who joined and missed my starting introduction, for some sessions you'll need interpretation. There is an app, it's written into your program, you need to download it, and you need to have you need a smartphone for that, and you need some headphones. So please, if you can move quickly to your next session so we can try and catch up with the program. Thank you very much, and thank you again to everybody, to Rafeef, Nnimmo, Tatiana, and to our comrades. Okay, Matt, we're up on here.
So,